Ladies, gentlemen, lentilmans, I need to remind you of some good friends of ours, Nate and Charlie, over at the Good Morning Liberty podcast, bringing you your shot of liberty every day, hitting on your current events, also taking some broad overlooks over kind of how we're going to relate to the normies from libertarian perspectives. Also, Nate and Charlie, as I mentioned before, are both working within the healthcare industry. And that's something interesting because I find that libertarians have to know their dot their I's, cross their Q's, I don't know, motorboat their P's. I forget what that phrase is. But point being, on healthcare, we need to be accurate because that's something that's weighing high on people's minds during COVID. Nate and Charlie are experts at breaking down how the healthcare industry works and where, as libertarians, we can get in there and say, hey, let's do this a little different. Here's what's accurate. Here's what's not. So check them out anywhere podcasts are heard. Good Morning Liberty. They support us. We support them. You should support both of us. Go with Jeebus.
Welcome to Electric Libertyland, here on the Lions of Liberty podcast, your weekly shot of culture, comedy, and liberty with your host, Brian McWilliams.
All right, I am here with the one, the only Tyler Colford, longtime Lions of Liberty supporter, and also legendary thrower of game, spitting of fire in the rap world, known as Crypto Man. And you have heard, obviously, the track Free Ross, hashtag Free Ross, that we've been promoting here on the Lions Liberty podcast. Tyler, what's up, my brother?
Oh, what's good? I'm enjoying it here in the Green Mountains.
Ah. Do they call it that because people grow weed when it's not covered in snow?
They do now.
Yeah, so you know what? While I got you on, we're going to talk about the show that you wanted and you requested because you were at such a high level of standing within the Lions of Liberty Pride that you get to pick a show. And we're going to be reviewing Animal Farm, so we'll talk about that. But before we do, I wanted to talk to you because, obviously you got a song, hashtag Free Ross. You've been raising money to try to help free the man. And they're finally talking about, like, Donald Trump, I guess, is actually looking into pardoning Ross Ulbricht. So what do you think? Are you optimistic?
I'm cautiously optimistic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you been tweeting at Ross's mom and being like, what's the haps? Has Trump reached out?
No. But I was on another podcast talking about Ross's situation. And that was before Trump was talking about throwing pardons left and right. But it would be great to see. I know I've heard a couple other people mention it like it could be a likely thing, but
yeah, I mean, it would be interesting. It's hard for me to believe that Trump is gonna pardon him as warranted as it is. Like, he should 100% be pardoned. But it's one of those things where it would be a real ballsy move on Trump's part to be like, yeah, I know they put him away for all this drug stuff, but I don't give a damn, and just like double flip the middle fingers. I mean, it'd be awesome. Don't get me wrong. Especially, I actually also really hope, they're talking about pardoning Ed Snowden. And Lindsey Graham's out there being a fucking dickhead as always and saying that Ed Snowden's a traitor and that blood's on his hands, which absolutely zero proof of that. Just like with Ross Ulbricht, zero proof that Ross Ulbricht is responsible for anything. But I don't know. It would be. But
they still throw out that assassin allegation.
Of course, yeah, of course. I mean, they have to build up the case, otherwise the everyday man would look at this and be like, I'm sorry, he has 2 life sentences for running a website?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, cool. Makes me want to take down my my Welcome to Tardville blog, just in case. Come after me. All right, man, so let's talk about Animal Farm. Now, you probably wanted us to review the book, but trying to get a gaggle of drunk assholes to read a book in time for a podcast in like 3 weeks, I think it was like when we decided we were going to do this show. Not going to happen. Trying to get these assholes to show up for a Zoom call is difficult enough. So we decided we are going to review Animal Farm starring Kelsey Grammer, which I think is from like 1984. Have you seen that?
I think I must have, but I was like in middle school when I actually read the book.
Yeah,
they make you read the book, and then after you like struggle through 90 some odd pages, and then you finally get to watch the movie.
The teacher just gives up. Like,
yeah,
I don't care anymore. You children are too stupid.
I know you didn't read it.
I mean, I did the same thing though. I remember I did read the whole thing. I remember reading it and I remember enjoying it. But it's just like you, I haven't read it since middle school. And I was talking to some of the other guys, in our email chain, and I was like, I thought everybody had to read it, but it must have been school system by school system, or they pulled it for younger kids, because a lot of the guys didn't have to read it, and I was really surprised by that.
Yeah, I don't know. I was made to read both the Animal Farm and 1984.
I don't think they made us read 1984. That was when I had to catch up on my own. But I remember seeing the movie. I think I saw the movie before I saw the book, and then I was like, oh, I should definitely read the book then. But that's awesome. Well, you had a better education than most people.
I guess so. It was a bunch of liberals, but they were like the Howard Zinn people. So they liked the they were more skeptical against government and stuff.
Yeah. Well, we need more of that. God knows
the peace beatniks, and they were protesting the wars back in the 70s.
Yeah, exactly. We've lost that beatnik generation, man. It's like anything. It's even right now, the whole generation of, the Berkeley free speech people and all that. They don't care. They're anti-free speech now. I'm sure those teachers that had you read that book have probably now turned their backs on it. They probably now would be all for banning 1984 because big tech has shown us the way forward, and God knows anybody that doesn't observe the morals of the left should be banned from polite society.
Yeah, I don't know. I know one of the teachers used to get the kids to like do yard work and pay them under the table, so they were all for child labor. So
I hope those teachers are now running Chinese shoe farms, making the new LeBron Air jerk offs or whatever they're called. All right, man. Well, we are going to hop to it. We're going to review this for you. I hope you enjoy it, and thank you for being such a good friend and good supporter. So, here we go. Review of Animal Farm, starring everybody's famous psychiatrist friend, Kelsey Grammer. So, gentlemen, welcome. This is the Christmas. This is the after Christmas episode. We're pre-recording it so that I don't have to do anything on Christmas. But just FYI, if you want to pretend that you got a gift sometime during the podcast and tell us about it, feel free. Red Ryder BB gun. But we are here. We are here to review Animal Farm. And of course, I would not have asked you guys to read the book over again, because who has the time? But we were able to find for free on Amazon, although with commercials, which I thought was very odd. Because I thought if it was on Amazon Prime, it's just fucking free. Isn't that the whole goddamn concept? But
yeah, you would think so. But
yeah,
it's
were
Amazon,
you guys surprised when the first commercial came on? Were you like, what the fuck is this shit?
No, I wasn't. On the I guess start screen, it was like free with limited interruptions. So I was like, "Fuck off, Jeff Bezos." So
exactly.
I knew what I was getting into.
That son of a bitch.
So I clicked the same button, free with commercials, but there were no commercials.
Oh, really?
What?
Well, they started off. There were like 6 commercials at the very start, which was really annoying. And I did like that they had the second countdown at least, so you could like, all right, I can go take a shit, I can microwave a burrito. Like, I like that aspect of it. I think all TV should have that, like the countdown timer, so you know exactly how much time you have until you have to get back to the show. It like reminds me of that old Dave Attell joke where he gives himself a hernia trying to squeeze out a shit before The Simpsons started. You guys remember that?
Yes.
Yeah. But anyway, yes, we had Tyler Colford, who you guys heard on my intro. Well, you two didn't, but the rest of the people listening to this will have heard it, talking about how, he's just curious to see, because he had not read it since like grade school, which I think was what I read, maybe middle school. And I forget, did you guys say you had? I think Howie had to read it. JB, did you have to read it in middle school?
I don't know if I had to read it, but I did read it. It might have been on like some kind of reading list or something like that. Yeah. I don't remember it being assigned though.
Yeah, I think I had to read it freshman year of high school.
It's kind of surprising. Like, I could never see this book being on any reading list now, considering like, you know, what it's about and what the focus is really kind of exposing, getting ahead of ourselves, but, you know, exposing this kind of communist worldview and how everything's corruptible. I wonder if now the Antifa that are teaching in all of our universities and under, or I should say elementary through high schools would even dream of introducing this content to the kids, or if they view it as contrary to their mission.
They might. I don't know if you knew this, but George Orwell was a democratic socialist, but he thought
I was just going to say, yeah.
He thought that Stalin had corrupted.
I guarantee none of the people that you're describing think that they're represented in the pigs in the actual farm.
Yeah.
None of them. You have to realize that they're actually on board. Like
maybe like Old Major, they're like, well, if they just listen to what Old Major said.
Yeah, exactly.
Right,
they're the ones adding. Yeah, they're the ones adding extra letters onto the wall.
Right.
You know, they don't realize that, and they're kind of blind to it. There is. I was going to get into that too. Like some of the people, like we're jumping way ahead of ourselves. What's that fool's name? Yeah, well, I'll just get into it when we reach it.
Yeah,
the other pig. Not Napoleon, his lackey, like Squealer or something.
I can't remember what that guy's fucking name was either. Yeah,
Wheeler?
The real bourgeoisie guy with the monocle.
Yeah, whatever. We're jumping the gun.
Yeah, well,
Mark's the one who usually reins us in and follows the timeline of the actual story. So
don't worry. I'm gonna try to keep us on track. I'll keep us on track as much as is possible with the Howie Snowdon on the podcast. So yeah, we did Animal Farm, and we decided that because it was free on Amazon, we would do the 1999 Animal Farm movie, which had Dr. Fraser Crane. We got a blanket as Kelsey Grammer as one of the pigs, Dr. Fraser Crane, and then also
Jean-Luc Picard.
Yes, Jean-Luc Picard is Napoleon, and like instantly you hear the voice and you're like, oh, that's Jean-Luc, that's my boy, you're my boy, Lou. So yeah, Jean-Luc Picard voiced the Napoleon pig, who turns out to be the main villain in the movie, or in the book and movie. But we start off, they're on a farm, humans are running the farm. And these animals are acting like animals, as animals do, until you realize that they are meeting in secret because they have deep held resentment towards the people and the way in which they are being treated on the farm, which was like Jones Farm or something like that to begin with. So they have a leader. His name is Old Major. I should probably bring up my notes while I'm just extemporaneously talking.
Major.
And he is possibly the most grotesque puppet I've ever seen in my fucking life. Like the Old Major character is this gigantic fat pig who's just old and just, slathered in goo on his face and just jowls like
he
flying.
Just sweats up profusely, constantly sweating.
So gross looking, this fucking thing. Like Jim Henson's people really got into it. But he's basically teaching the animals that humans are the enemy. Right, they are the oppressor, and that the animals have to rise up against them, and the time is now, even if he's not going to be around. And, foreshadowing, turns out he is not around for very long, because he gets shot by the farmer who goes out to sea, because you hear all the cattle and the ducks and everything, which is kind of funny. You just hear, they're singing like the animal communist war chant, and then they cut to the inside of the house and the farmer just hears so he runs out and accidentally shoots Old Major. So that's where we'll begin. So gentlemen, your thoughts on Old Major and where this whole thing kicks off. The messaging to begin with. What do you think? And dead silence. Excellent.
Well, I'm thinking,
this has been fun.
No. What? Give me a second to draw a breath here. I was just going to say, first and foremost, we need to acknowledge that in the book, that Old Major's not shot by the Farmer Jones. That's not how he dies, if I remember correctly. That's why I was looking real quick, just to make sure I'm not saying something completely wrong and stupid. If I remember... If I remember correctly, he just dies like because as soon as you're like he was old and fat and sweaty.
Yeah,
I was like, no, doesn't he just die? I don't remember him getting accidentally killed by the
I don't
farmer.
Either. I agree. I think he just dies by a heart attack.
He said he didn't have long to go, but like
he was dying.
So we got to speed things up. It's a movie, so he comes out and he actually shoots him, and he like stands up and he like flips out the back of the barn. he comes down, lands like right on his neck.
Yeah. Well, you know what? If you're already shot and you're falling out of a barn, I would try to aim for my neck. I'd be like, let's just get this done quickly. But of course, with my luck, I just end up completely paralyzed on a tube, shitting into a bag. But
Yeah, according to Facebook, I'm not Facebook. What the fuck am I talking about? Wikipedia. Yeah, in the book, he just dies 3 days later.
Yeah.
And that makes a big difference. That's why I wanted this pause right here. And I'm glad you stopped at this old major narrative. Because if we're talking about a parallel for the communist revolution of Russia, spoiler for anyone who doesn't know what the underlying story of Animal Farm is, it is a communist revolution in Russia in 1917. Yeah, 1917. But like your hero, your Lenin being killed by the Tsar, which the farmer is supposed to represent, Tsar Nicholas, this incompetent ruler over the area, versus just dying of old age, makes a big difference in rallying the troops.
Yeah,
so
it makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, it makes it a lot easier to rally the troops when the Tsar fucking murders your idol. So I think that's a big change, and it's not a subtle change. It makes a big difference in the narrative. Which I just wanted to pull out. It's a big difference between the book and both movies, apparently. I'm looking on Wikipedia, even the cartoon that we saw before this even came out, presumably.
Okay, yeah, because when I saw this, I could have sworn I saw a cartoon movie.
Yeah, there's a cartoon that was made in 1954, and this live action was made in 99.
Did you guys know when Orwell wrote this, it was during the World War when we were teamed up with Russia?
Yeah, I think it was no, I think it was published. No, I think no one would publish it during the war, but it was like 46 or 47. It was like literally like right after the war it was published. Yeah.
During the war, the British and the Americans
it was like chill, George, chill.
We think this is great. We're just going to keep it in development for a little while.
Let's not forget the Soviet Union killed like 80% of the Nazis' fucking soldiers. Kind of needed them to, kill the Nazis.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I know. It is
for real. Russia won the war for real.
Yeah, 80%. I think that's the mark. Like 80% of German casualties were 2 Russian bullets.
Yeah. Well, anyway,
we just Russian at the end are like, we did it for you.
All right, so getting back on track.
America.
Yes.
USA.
Yes, it is definitely a parable, as we're saying, about communist Russia and the uprising there. But anyway, regardless, old Major dies, and the animals then go and charge the Farmer Jones, who is a absolute drunken lout and has runs the farm badly. And there's kind of like a prefacing where they end up going to the barn after Major dies, and Farmer Jones goes out and gets drunk because he's having money issues, and he decides that he's going to go out and get hammered instead of feeding the animals. So they decide they're going to break into the barn, and when Farmer Jones comes back all drunkened up, they charge and finally take over the farm. But before we get to that point, though, I did want to go back to Old Major and these, they have these, and I should have written them down if I was smart, but Old Major talks about the commandments that he's laid out, which is that all animals are equal, that humans are the enemy, that 4 legs are better than 2, and you're never allowed to act or become anything like the humans, right? It's this idyllic socialist dream of equality in every way. So what do you think of that starting point? I mean, to your point, it obviously starts out, it's still very communist to begin with and very socialist to begin with, but then it gets corrupted. So where do you think of the starting point?
Hey, I've got his original commandments.
Okay, cool. Read them off real quick.
Whatever goes upon 2 legs is an enemy. Whatever goes upon 4 legs or has wings is a friend. No animal shall wear clothes. No animal shall sleep in bed. No animal shall drink alcohol.
That one, fuck that. Right out. Nope.
But that makes sense. I'll say why that makes sense based on the parody.
Okay, because I didn't know what the parallel to that was. So I'm interested to hear that.
No animal shall kill another animal. All animals are equal.
There you go.
Those were the original ones.
All right, so JB, what's this alcohol
specifically? So I think this is another specific tie into the communist revolution in Russia. I don't know if it's known, but it's probably well known and like made fun of. But Russia has an alcohol problem. Alcoholism is rampant, and it lowers at least their male population's expected lifespan dramatically. solely due to alcoholism. And it's not a coincidence. It's not like they're genetically predisposed to alcoholism. The czars realized that alcohol could subdue their populace and basically make them, as long as they're drunk and stupid, they won't be able to realize like what's going on, and they'll be like basically docile sheep. So the czardom for like hundreds of years subsidized the production of vodka. It made it so cheap and flushed it to their people in such quantities to keep them docile that like being a rampant alcoholic is ingrained in Russian culture because of it. And it carries on to this day because of the czars using alcohol to subdue their population. And putting that in is an express tie to what the communists were against.
Yeah. Interesting.
I remember even in the 80s, like watching, I don't know why I remember this one part of a SNL skit where they're like, we've stolen the Russian secret recipe for alcoholism and despair.
Yeah, they did that. And they did it on purpose. It's like, if you're so hammered, you don't know what's going on, you're certainly not going to rebel. You just go about your day as long as you can get vodka for fucking 5 cents a liter.
Yep, exactly.
Is this why libertarians haven't done anything either?
I think we get more fired up. I consider us more like the South Park where, you know, there's one episode where Stan gets involved with like Morpheus from the Matrix. But to get out of the Matrix, aka real life, and to see through all the bullshit, you just have to get super drunk all the time. That's the way I view our alcoholism. Seeing through the bullshit with a Liberty lens. You just have to be a certain level of drunk to get there. But yeah, so they lay down the morals, and then, as I said, the animals revolt. They ended up, and it's a very sissy revolt. All the revolts the animals undertake and all their plans are really under fucking whelming in this movie. You know, it's like the farmer's such a pussy that he just kind of runs off. You know, the animals kind of run around him, and the dog kind of jumps on him, and he's like, "Oh shit, let's get out of here, Mom!" They run to the bar, but.
Dude, when they jumped in the car though, and the horse was stop them and starts like jumping on the car, I couldn't remember what happened. I'm like, oh shit, are they gonna kill these people?
Well, they should have. I mean, if you're gonna do it,
but they
yeah, I mean, because that's what I wrote down. I'm like, why would you not just go back in the morning with more guns and just start shooting the fucking animals who don't have any guns?
Sense. Yeah. Animals that you'd likely slaughter anyway. You're worried about just gunning down. It doesn't really make any sense.
Right.
You can get another draft horse. You can't it's far less money than the land that you just
giving up the whole farm.
It makes no sense whatsoever. You know,
it's just satire.
I know. Yeah. I mean, we could also
so ridiculous.
We could
split hairs. Let's ignore that fact.
Yeah, well, we could split hairs too about the pigs learn. So the pigs, after they take over the farm, the pigs learn to read and write first, and I guess they teach all the other animals to read because they paint the first, the one pig, Snowball, which, he's pure. If the name didn't tell you, Snow, pure. He's the one ideologically pure. Orwell wasn't too subtle with that.
Orwell was very subtle.
And then naming the one guy Napoleon. It's like,
Napoleon versus Snowball.
But
gee, whose side are you on?
Dude, seriously. But so the pigs are painting, they paint the commandments up there, and I'm like, how are these pigs holding this goddamn paintbrush? They have hooves.
Yeah, they have hooves.
And Kelsey Grammer's pig is milking the cows too, and I feel
like a dog would have a better chance holding a paintbrush than a fucking pig.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Have a dog use its mouth gently, like an elephant painting.
Pigs are really smart though.
That's why.
That's another thing. That's why they took over.
Yeah.
Notice who was the two smartest groups in the book: the pigs and the dogs.
Right.
Everyone is like sheeps and horses. They just do whatever is going on.
Yep.
Like
are horses dumb?
The pigs are in the charge. Certain dogs are the bodyguards, and one dog rebels because they're the ones doing all the thinking, and they're the smartest animals on the farm.
Dude, I mean, some of those dogs.
I don't think that's a coincidence. Do you?
Re-education camp as puppies.
Yeah, that's
when you indoctrinate someone from a young age.
Right. Which I love. I mean, we'll get there. So we're ahead of ourselves. But yeah, the indoctrination shit is dead on. But of course, you see, so the pigs take over, and immediately, even though it's based upon equality, the pigs who are viewed as the disciples of the great old major, because he was a pig, they start to immediately break everybody down into different stratas. And, from the get-go, they decide that it's, they put up the hoof and horn flag, which is very, of course, like the hammer and sickle.
Yeah,
and
I love that.
Yeah. And then Napoleon also makes sure that as they take over, he starts to get the allegiances. And as we said, that's where he gets the dogs, who are intelligent, but also the only animals that are really capable of attacking viciously and quickly in large numbers. So he gets the dogs on his side and adorns himself in medals and has them pledge allegiance to him. And then that brings us to Jess getting some dog knocked her up, and she has puppies. And what do they do with the goddamn puppies?
Who did it?
Probably was.
Like the commander, whoever he was supposed to be in, I guess, Russian hierarchy, the general of the puppies. It was like that Rottweiler-looking dog. You know what I'm talking about, right?
It had to be.
Yeah, it must have been. So then she has puppies. What happens to the puppies? I'm waiting.
Well, they become their elite secret police, essentially.
Yeah.
They're crack, make you disappear to
away.
The gulags.
Yep.
The pigs
jackbooted
take them away
soldiers.
from the mother.
Yep. Remove them and put them into special education. I love the phrasing in this, too, is good in the movie. And again, it's been so long since I read the book that I don't know if it specifically mirrors the book exactly, but yeah, they take him away for special education. But what I love is how they pitch it to Jessie, the dog, that they go, well, don't you want us to take them? They're having special education. You don't want them to be disadvantaged, do you? Which is exactly the kind of shit that you hear right now in everything that they're doing with taking our children away and we put our kids in these indoctrination camps. And if you don't, you've got like that dumb bitch out of Harvard who was shitting on homeschooling because she said it was disadvantaging children by giving them this different education than the state-sponsored version.
Well, special ed really has a different connotation nowadays.
Yeah, I know. The short bus. Put them in night school where they have to learn to add.
I see. And there's a lot of parallel with that, even in our society. It's against the law for your kid not to show up to some kind of school. You can homeschool, but you need to make sure the government knows that you're teaching them something.
Yeah,
you need to still check in, or there's going to be some problems.
Throw you right in jail.
Yeah. And that's where Kamala Harris exactly threatening people to go to jail.
The truancy is you have to go to jail because your kid skipped school.
Right.
I'm like, what?
It was do the kids have ankle monitors on them at all times? By the way, how the fuck is the parent going to monitor that shit anyway? You can only beat someone so much.
Going to school is so important, but now they won't even let you.
Yeah.
It's important enough to take someone else's freedom away, apparently, according to Kamala Harris.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And going back to Howie's point, they won't even let you go to school. And the thing is, too, if you don't turn in the fake homework that they give you on Zoom, then they will also throw you into jail. And I was like, there's some... Well, anyway, we're getting off target. Getting back to this actual review. So... They take the kids away. They train them basically to be his own little Secret Service ninjas. But I also love how when they're going through in the beginning, they're touring the big farmhouse, right? And they're looking through it. Oh my God, we should keep this house. The pig says we should keep this house. No one should live in it as a museum. And then they find the TV, which is just, amazing to everybody involved. And they leave it in the house until it's time for bread and circuses. Wherein Napoleon finds that if he rolls out the TV, he can further placate the animal masses by turning it on, and they will watch for hours.
Because they were going disgruntled. One thing we need to add in is they're starting, the productivity on the farm is starting to decline, and the animals are starting to get underfed.
Yes,
it's a little there's a little undercurrent until they throw it in your face, but less and less food is coming in. They're not eating as much as they used to by this point.
Yeah, well, except for the pigs. The pigs are getting
they get milk and apples.
Yep, milk.
They
and
get
apples.
all the milk and all the apples, because they're smart.
Rationale.
You need to power all that gray matter.
Yeah.
And I was like, awesome. I need to use that next time. I was like, look, I'm way smarter than you. I'm going to take all the fucking roast pig and whatever taste you have there. And,
that's what I'm going to use on my wife when we're eating. Yeah, when we get a pizza, there's one piece left. To be like, look, I'm going to need this last piece of pizza, baby. My brain, as the smartest brain in the house, needs this. You and the baby will have to. You'll have to beat the crust that I leave over here. You can have some ranch to dip them in, though.
Don't men have larger brains? Don't we need more brain fuel?
I think it's only because we have larger skulls. Like elephants aren't smarter than us, and their brains are bigger.
Are you sure? Are you sure though?
Am I sure they're not smarter than us?
They're not some sort of super intelligent species.
Well, if they were smarter than us, then they would have definitely came back with some payback after slaughtering them all.
Maybe they're doing a little rope-a-dope.
That's how I know they're not smarter than us.
I don't know. Are you saying Gandhi's an idiot?
They're doing rope-a-dope, man.
I don't know how they're related, but elephants are definitely not smarter than us, or they would have bombed us a long time ago.
Yeah, but Gandhi wouldn't have done that. He was a pacifist.
Are you saying that all elephants are pacifists? If they were really smart, they would be more unique.
Elephants,
an intelligent brain is a sarcastic one, so they all wouldn't be the same. So you would have some fuckers as well as some peaceful ones too, if they were really that.
Hey, you sweet sassy molassies! I need to once again remind you that we have a fantastic sponsor in Zippix toothpicks. They are nicotine infused toothpicks that are fantastic. I've been talking about them for weeks. I had a buddy just order some. But he could not wait. He came to my door. I'm not even making this up. Came to my door 2 days ago, said, hey, do you have any more of those toothpicks? I'm waiting on mine. I love them so much. So I gave him my sweet whiskey packet because they got multiple flavors. They got sweet whiskey, peppermint, watermelon, spearmint, and spice, and so many more. These are 2 milligram or 3 milligram nicotine infused toothpicks. They were developed in a lab. They are FDA registered. And what's great about them is you get that buzz like you would smoking a cigarette or doing chew or vaping, but you get to just roll it around your mouth. You kind of chew on it. You suck on it. It's got a great hand to mouth kind of feel. And hey, if you got the oral fixation, helps with that too. And the biggest benefit is that you're not stinking up any joints. You're not spitting into a mug and grossing everybody else around you out. Check them out at zippixtoothpicks.com and use promo code LION. Again, promo code LION to get 10% off your order.
Right, that's really the problem.
There are definitely some not pacifist elephants out there.
They can't all be pacifists, so they wouldn't be that bright.
All right.
Unfortunately.
Devil's advocate.
A worthwhile argument to have. So getting back to it, yes, they keep their brains working so well. And then they also use the threat of Farmer Jones coming back, right? There's always that specter, and it's kind of, it's a little bit like Orwell with the Big Brother in that you have to always have an enemy for people to focus on as well. And there's a lot of juxtaposition between 1984's Big Brother and the hate, because in this, they also build Snowball up, who is Snowball was the purist, as we already established, who had initially painted the learn to read and write first, painted the amendments, or the commandments on the barn wall. And then once he became politically inconvenient and became a challenger to Napoleon's power, gets turned on, and Napoleon then turns him into basically a terrorist and the great evil that all of the farm animals have to focus on.
All right. So now you probably have to jump in. Like Snowball, this is where we go back into Russia. So Snowball's supposed to represent Leon Trotsky, right? Supposedly, if you talk to leftists, the good communists.
Yeah.
So with some certain expect. And of course, Napoleon's supposed to be Joseph Stalin. So this whole feud is it's supposed to represent the struggle for power between the two after Lenin's death. Who's going to take over who's going to be face of the movement? Who's going to take over from here? Whose ideals are going to be, what the Soviet Union will go from there on out. And needless to say, Trotsky lost.
Did he have a pickaxe to his head or something? Isn't that how he died?
I remember he fled Russia, and then I remember he was assassinated in Mexico, but I don't remember how. I'm pretty sure it was in Mexico.
I was in a play, and I can't remember what it was called now, but it was about Trotsky getting killed, and the way that he was killed was like a hatchet or a pickaxe to the head. Something really. That sounds
kind of familiar.
Yeah,
I'm sure it was violent.
So in the movie, they chase Snowball off, and we don't hear from him again. Is that what happened in the book, or does he come back?
No, I don't think he comes back.
I don't think he comes back. I was actually surprised, that you never see him again. I
don't think you do.
Yeah.
I don't think it goes as far as to like obviously Stalin had him killed wherever he was killed.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's replicated in the book, and it's definitely not in the movie.
Yeah, so they chase him off, and they chase him off because Snowball wants to build a windmill, which will make all of their labor easier. And Napoleon at first opposes it, and because he says, "Oh, we need to focus on building our defenses up because Farmer Jones could come back." And then he sicks the attack dogs that he's trained, the indoctrinated attack dogs on Snowball, who runs away, and they chase him off. And then, of course,
right after he pisses off.
Oh yeah,
right.
Pisses
Ice axe.
Yeah. And then
in 1940, Trotsky was attacked in a study by Spanish-born AKVD agent Ramon Mesader, who used an ice axe as
that's
a weapon.
it. Yeah, I knew it was like
this
it
is
was
some
a
movie shit.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Fucking life is stranger than fiction. What the fuck?
Yep.
Ramon
It really is.
Mercader used an ice axe to kill Leon Trotsky. That
Yep.
sounds so made
I
up.
think he just crept up behind him and then just like
Yeah,
chunked him right in the
what?
back of the fucking head. Yeah. What's
That
Trotsky,
sounds like
man?
some
Have your head on a
movie
swivel.
shit.
Yeah. That was like the original Sylvester Stallone cliffhanger movie was actually supposed to be a Trotsky film. And they're like, wait a minute, Sly, you can't pull this off. Just go hang on some ice, guy. And that's how it was made. But getting back to my main point about Snowball and this windmill. So immediately, and again, George Orwell does a good job of mirroring how these state actors take power and then keep it by using the ideas of others while creating myths and legends about themselves. Of course, after they chase Snowball off, Napoleon and Squealer or whatever get together and they're like, oh, it's probably a pretty good idea to have this. So they then take credit for it. And like, it was my idea first.
It was my idea all along. Oh, and just a bit of sidebar. When I was watching it the other day, I never realized how dumb Boxer was.
Yeah.
I knew he went along. I'm like, come on, man. Use your fucking head.
I felt so bad for him.
Because he's easy like the muscle. He could have been like the Genghis Khan of the farm. He could have killed anyone there.
Oh
if he
yeah,
wanted
easily.
to. But he's such a moron.
Yeah,
he's just like it's like
he's the big Clydesdale. For those of you who don't know what we're talking about, he's the giant Clydesdale that would that would be going through the plow fields. Big, strong animal, but dumb as shit. And older, like probably I don't know,
older.
50
Yeah,
years.
he was going in years, and I don't think any of those attributes are an accident either.
No.
Orwell was saying a lot of poignant things about society and what type of people go along with certain things and what people don't. Every characteristic, I kind of narrowed in every characteristic of every major animal in this story. Actually, it represents a certain demographic in society and how they would react to these situations.
Oh, totally. Yeah, like the sheep who are always singing along. The sheep go along with every
single
chant.
animal represents a demographic in society. Yeah. And old Boxer definitely represents a demographic that's a little bit older, a little bit, less intuitive or less inquisitive. We'll just kind of go along with whatever someone clever says because, obviously they know what's best for me because
Napoleon is always right is the refrain. Yeah.
Exactly. Napoleon's always right. Despite the fact that with your power, you can seize control and do whatever you want, but you don't have it's either confidence or will, or maybe a combination of that keeps you in chains.
Yeah.
It's so complex and it explains society kind of in a nutshell.
Mm-hmm.
Boxer's also a good example of how some of these dumb commies, like, they mean well, they're trying to do the right thing. But they're just that's
the overarching, I think, point of it. Even though, I would say, as Orwell, as a democratic socialist, obviously he believes that this ideal society is possible, but that's where, to me, it clearly is not. It clearly, it seems to be he has to have, at some level, realized that the point being, every time this is tried, and we're seeing it in Animal Farm play it as well. Once you have people get in, into the riches, have the power, you see instant power struggles come into play as we see the pigs take advantage. The intelligent people in any society, the clever people, the unscrupulous people, are always going to find a way to get to the top. Because they don't mind breaking the rules that they themselves set.
Yeah, they don't mind manipulating things. They don't mind coercing things. And frankly, they can think circles around most of the people they're dealing with, and that's an advantage.
Yeah.
They're like all these governors that set all these rules and go out and break them.
Exactly right, man. No, exactly. They are fucking Napoleon, where, they're out there. Gavin Newsom is out there demanding that everybody go stay at home, stay in the barn, don't go to work. And then he's out drinking whiskey from a trough with the rest of the fucking piggy elites. And getting into that, so I think we left off at the bread and circuses and the TV time. And in the meantime, the farmers are getting together off to the side, right? The humans, which it's so funny. I also just love the logic leap of the farmers somehow, because one time these animals ran out of a barn at a guy. They're like, they've united. They've taken the farm and they're trying to work it.
Do?
I'd be like, so animals ran at you, guy. Go back and put them in the fucking barn. Like, what are you talking about? But they instantly are like, they're geniuses. We got to put a microphone in. Yeah.
Instantly it's a rebellion versus a random stampede because there was a fox in the barn.
Because they were eating food in the barn and then they ran out because they were startled. It seems to be the Occam's razor explanation of it.
Why did the crow side with the humans?
I don't know what side the crow was on. Because that's another thing that's different from the book.
At first, he was trying to tell, like, when the dog knocked the dude down and Farmer Jones, and he hit his head, the crow was, like, freaking out about it. And then
he said animals should never attack humans, yeah.
The crow went, like, after they were chased off to, like, the place where the humans were meeting. He's, like, tapping on the window like he wanted to, like,
he's a turncoat. Yeah, I saw him.
But then the guy, like, opens it up and is like, shoo!
Yeah. I think the crow just represents people in society who will go with whatever they view to be the power. They will side with that power. Because he also was, in with the Napoleon and the other pigs as well. He ingratiated himself with them. It's kind of like Jabba the Hutt's little screech monkey off to the side. There's always going to be those people that whoever has power, they want to be next to, and they don't really give a shit how they get there. They're not necessarily strong, intelligent. They just are sycophants. And that was the crow. And the crow will turn on you in a second if a new powerful entity comes in that seems more appealing or more stable. That's my take. So the farmers meet up, and they create what seems to be the absolute worst fucking invasion plan ever put together to go and try to take the farm back from the animals, which seems to be to slowly drive up on a tractor. And then when they get shit on by a bunch of ducks, crash it into a ditch for some reason. Good, Howie.
Yeah, there was a lot of shit. These ducks are coordinated.
We skipped over something that I think should be mentioned.
What did we miss? Go ahead.
I can't remember the rich dude's name. Mr.
We should
Frederick
know that.
Pinkton.
But anyways,
Pinkerton?
Do you guys
Pinkerton? Something like that.
Plinkington or something.
Something.
Yeah.
But you guys remember Farmer Jones banging?
Yeah, that was the best part of the movie.
That's not in the book.
No, that definitely is not in the book. That's
definitely not in the book. That's why I was like, wait a minute. I was watching it with my wife last night, and I was like, wait a minute, what the fuck is this random fucking sex scene?
Did you see later on when he brings his wife? So later and we'll get to this point, but I just want to skip ahead when we're talking about it. They sit down, and this rich farmer who had lent Farmer Jones money, who has a very successful, kind of the king of the town. Pilkington. So he becomes, he says, okay, well, I have a business opportunity with these pigs. Basically, after this assault we're going to talk about, if you can't beat them, join them type of thing. And he brings his wife over at one point, the wife that banged Farmer Jones. And she's sitting next to the big fat Napoleon pig as he's getting drunk on whiskey. And do you see her reach over and kind of half fondle the pig and start to rub on the pig?
She was leaning in, she's just
the fuck is that?
She just clinks the power. She's like, this Napoleon disgusting pig,
Yeah.
Probably bang this guy out too.
Seriously, that was just so weird. All right, but getting back to the assault.
I noticed that, Brian. I did notice she wants to bang out Napoleon.
That was so weird. God, it was so weird. I was
like, what's going on here? This is disgusting to me.
Good stuff. Those Brits, they know how to slide in a good bestiality reference. So the assault on this farm, right? They coordinate. They all ride in, as I said, on this tractor. They get shit on by the mighty coordinated ducks, the true mighty ducks. And they take out a couple of them because, they have guns. Then they finally get out of the tractor and they go into the stables. And there's some plan where they have Snowball lead the charge because Napoleon has identified Snowball. I guess this is before. Wait, this is before they chase Snowball off. I guess I'm kind of.
Yeah, they had a big battle that probably is part of the revolution, but I don't know what
Napoleon and Squealer. And
I don't know what battle is supposed to represent, but they had a big battle against the humans where Snowball was the hero. He led the charge and was wounded. And everyone was like Snowball, and then Squealer changed the chant to Napoleon,
Snowball.
Who did fuck all but hide.
They're like, we're all heroes.
we're
today.
all
Which is what Stalin did.
Napoleon,
Yeah. That at least I know is that he hid like a bitch and wasn't out on the front line. So, and they were like, oh yeah, Napoleon.
Yeah. So they twist that narrative around, and then at the same time, they leave a gun behind, which I thought would play a more prominent. I thought in the book the gun actually played a more prominent role. Because they didn't really do anything.
Oh, the one
with
they were
it.
going to shoot every year?
Yeah, because they didn't really get into it. The farmers dropped a gun and left it behind, and they just didn't really do anything with it, which I was very surprised by. Maybe it got cut.
Oh, they don't have opposable.
It doesn't stop her from milking cows and fucking writing them commandments.
Milking cows and writing.
Yeah.
Writing with the Latin script, motherfucker.
Yeah.
How do you do that without fingers?
So the least successful assault ever, and then the farmers all get chased off, and that's when Pilkington decides.
I thought they killed the one dude though. That was the third time I thought they killed someone.
Boxer had a chance to kill him, but Boxer said he doesn't want to kill even humans, right? So that one human gets let go, but then
that one human should have died because he got brained by a fucking draft horse.
Oh God,
he got kicked in the skull by a draft horse. He should be dead.
Yeah, like Mr. Miyagi, like a grape in the street.
What they didn't tell us, that guy was the horse slaughterer.
Oh, poor Boxer. Well, we're not there yet. So I had written down this, right? So they chase Snowball off. And the pigs then start to really change the rules, right? They start to change all the commandments. They go out later and Squealer goes and paints in the middle of the night and adds on, conveniently, they paint new words onto the commandments that say, like, you're not allowed to sleep in a bed with sheets because the pigs have now moved into the house and are sleeping in the beds. So they add with sheets to try to fool people. They add, because they've decided that they now have a accustomed taste of whiskey, they add you're not allowed to drink alcohol to excess. So they change, and this again, there's a lot of parallels with 1984. They have that same type of, changing what was to fit the narrative that the ruling class wants to have in the present.
The revolutionaries.
And most importantly, they changed no animal shall kill another animal to no animal shall kill another animal without cause. Yes. And then they go on like purging murders.
Exactly. Yeah, that was brutal. Watching the rat get hung, the ducks. That was
the propaganda films.
Yeah, the propaganda films rolled out. They were impressive. Really like black and white. Like the old Nazi propaganda style or Soviet propaganda style, showing that any dissenters will be purged. And of course, I liked also that they're criminals. Anybody that has a thought against the state, anybody that has anything suspicious that they don't like, they just brand them as criminals. And I also, on the same note, because they branded the chickens criminals when they would not give up their eggs to be sold at market when the pigs had, found themselves spending to excess and not running the farm properly in order to keep everybody fed.
And we have to go back just like fucking Farmer Jones. Mm-hmm. Like that's what I was going to say. Yep. The revolutionaries have become the czar. Mm-hmm. After all, like I was going to say, they were justified thinking that life under Farmer Jones was shit because he was a shitty farmer. He didn't feed them properly. Mm-hmm. Like the farm was decrepit. He beat them. He was fucking drunk all the time. He was a terrible farmer. Just like Tsar Nicholas was a terrible ruler. But what he was replaced with wasn't any better. In some ways, it was fucking worse. Yep. And I think that parallels that like perfectly. It's like, you were in a bad situation, but what you replace it with wasn't any fucking better.
Absolutely. Well, it's also just that, when people get that type of power, when they get all these riches, which they had not had previously, it always corrupts. And this is why I have a problem with, with Orwell. Again, if he's a democratic socialist and believes that system would work, the problem is, like, we have a current day parallel, right, that we can look at with Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter had a completely different set of fucking commandments when it started, as opposed to what they have now. And they've changed it and have pretended that it was always the way it was. But at the same time, the leadership in Black Lives Matter, if you've been following along with the news stories, have now splintered. They're infighting, just like, casting people out like Snowball and sicking the media attack dogs on them. You've got them indulging in excesses. You have people, suing each other because they've taken millions of dollars of the donations and bought themselves lavish homes. You have one of these chicks that runs it, signs a Hollywood movie deal. I mean, we're seeing the pigs play out in Black Lives Matter right now.
But this is, what you just explained? You just explained humanity. You know what?
Exactly.
What that sounds like to me? It sounds like Christianity to me. You just explained Christianity. You just explained any organization
precisely
that people
right.
put
Precisely right.
undue power and influence in and want to control.
Yeah.
What happens? It gets undue influence, undue power. They splinter, they bicker, they start killing each other.
Yep.
And this is what we do. This is what we've been doing since time immemorial.
Right. And
hello, welcome to Homo sapien.
Right, exactly. Well, and it's like any governmental system, it's like, guess who never benefits? By having to overturn, guess who never benefits? The people at the bottom rung who are still doing all the labor never benefit. Be it Black Lives Matter, be it communism, be it any well, whatever.
Any system that exists, whoever's most willing to claw to the top by any means necessary are the ones who will benefit the most.
Yep. Exactly.
People who have morals and convictions and, want to do right by people, they tend to not be as advantaged because, you're not willing to cut corners. You're not willing to destroy people to get what you want.
Yep. Well, that's our goal.
That's
Lions
a
of Liberty for the new
disadvantage,
year.
Unfortunately.
2021
being a decent person is a disadvantage. And,
for sure. For sure. Having morals is a massive disadvantage.
Yeah, massive disadvantage.
And getting laid.
And in life, having morals is a disadvantage in life. And you do it because you know that it's right, not because this is, you're going to get the most out of doing it.
Yep. And Howie, I just noticed you cut your beard down. Good stuff. Looks good.
No, I needed to cut it. No. It's you're being sarcastic.
No, I'm not. It looks good. All right, getting back to it. The propaganda films roll out. They start branding people as criminals. They're hanging people, which is a funny scene, though, when you see, like, the duck gets hung and, like, the little duck feet fall down.
I don't even know if a duck's heavy enough to break its own neck by falling.
Definitely not. You have to start pulling on both ends to snap that. You just knock your beer over? JB's...
No, I just knocked my mic over.
Oh, okay. And then also, I like that, they bring back... So Farmer Jones sneaks back onto the property because he sees this windmill and he decides he's just going to blow up the windmill. Because fuck these animals and, and especially since Pilkington is teamed up and now is trading. And that was another commandment. You never should trade, right? They said no trade. Now, the pigs in charge have traded.
Yeah, that's the one I don't understand that much. I guess it's anti-commerce.
I guess
it's like a communist type of thing. It's like anti-commerce, which makes it's completely idiotic. There's nothing more human than trading. Mm-hmm. Even fucking 3-year-olds can trade.
Yeah.
It's kind of like innate. You have something, I have something. Let's switch. It's kind of like, it's part of the human
And even in communism, you're still trading your labor for a piece of the socialist pie. So you're always trading something for something.
Yeah, I don't remember if that's truly Marxist, but the idea of something being wrong with trading in general is completely idiotic and anti-human.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But nonetheless, the pigs are trading with Pilkington and getting hammered. And all the money, like, everything's just going towards whiskey because they become complete drunks, as JB was talking about earlier. They love whiskey. They just pour it in the gallons. And of course, Pilkington's more than happy to keep them drunk because he knows he's taking advantage of them. He knows that they are being sedated and they're placated by that. And he can continue to get the ups on them in business wise. But I like that, Farmer Jones sneaks back on, puts dynamite in this windmill that they all teamed up to build. And this is where Boxer had put all of his strength in, lugging these massive boulders and chunks of shit up to build this windmill to prop it up so that they could help have less labor. So Farmer Jones blows it up, and who gets blamed for it? Snowball! Snowball gets blamed again.
Long
Poor
gone
Snowball.
Snowball, who's in fucking Mexico City right now.
He's in Mexico with
some
the pickaxe in his hand.
taquiera, fucking enjoying his life. He gets blamed on it.
Yep, because you got to have that enemy in the darkness to blame anything on. And of course, conveniently too, who's to blame for the lack of food? Snowball. Who's to blame? Any ill of society is blamed on Snowball. And of course, this is the same thing that we have in any governmental system overall. But poor old Boxer, he wants to rebuild the windmill because he still believes in it. He believes in the society. He believes in the farm. And the windmill was such a landmark creation for all the animals that he says, I will rebuild it. And he basically kills himself rebuilding it, exhausts himself, keels over, and he's told.
The replacement windmill looks like a piece of shit, too.
Yeah, it really didn't look too great. Didn't look great. JB's got to pee real bad. Have fun, JB. But, like you're talking about, Howie, earlier with the slaughter wagon. So Boxer keels over, and Napoleon tells everybody, don't worry, we're going to take him off to the hospital. We've arranged for you to go to the hospital, Boxer. But Howie, what really ended up happening?
So they get him in the van to take him to the hospital, and you could tell there's writing on the doors because they're open and it doesn't come together. You can't see what it says. And when they close them, it's like horse slaughterer.
And glue works, yes.
glue works.
So he's off to the glue factory. And now because the animals can read, Jessie the dog sees it. And she's like, oh, shit, I should have done something. And, and all the animals are yelling at him, Boxer, get out of there. And Boxer's kind of, fighting, but he's too exhausted because he's kind of, crippled out from lugging all this shit.
We could tell he gave up.
Yep, yeah, he'd given up, exactly. He'd given up on life. So what ends up happening is he goes to the glue factory, and we see Pilkington had made the deal with Napoleon to take him off, and they split the money for the horse, and Napoleon puts it straight into whiskey, which, I respect.
Yeah, he's like, just take the money and get me whiskey.
Yeah. I love whiskey. So off to the glue factory with Boxer. Very sad. We all shed a tear. And again, the crackdown continues. Napoleon continues to be drunker and inept, more violent. They're killing off people left and right. They continue to churn out the propaganda films, nonstop as these animals are starving. And then in the culmination of the film, after all the death, after all the destruction, Jessie and some animals, after Boxer's taken off and, sold to the glue factory and slaughtered, she leads people off into the woods to this kind of safe spot that she's found to wait it out. But we see that back on the farm, the final commandments have now been fully broken as Napoleon stands on two legs and all the sheep shear 4 legs good, 2 legs better, 4 legs good, 2 legs better, as Napoleon has once again rewritten the rules of their society to suit his own nefarious hungers for whiskey and power, as he stands in full human regalia on 2 legs.
Full human standing on 2 legs, which I think is physically impossible for a pig. But I digress.
See, I felt like they probably just had like a human body dummy.
You've seen dogs and bears do it. I think it's literally impossible for a pig to do.
No, I think it's like when you put your head through a cutout of something. I think
maybe they've got the animate, like the bionic suits that we're building everywhere for super soldiers of the future.
No,
have we thought about that?
Nevertheless,
transhumanist pig?
One thing I have to break up, which is very important about the end, is that I think it's very different in the book. And there's no happy ending with survivors who run away from this dystopia.
Yeah.
No, there's no survivors or refugees. I think it just ends with Napoleon basically becoming a pig man, and everyone lives under the clutches of fucking Soviet animal farm.
Under the dread pirate Roberts, there are no survivors.
There's no, oh, I see my long lost son who was,
my long lost puppy boy.
Yeah, a jackbooted Stasi for most of his life. But now, he's cool. That doesn't happen in the book.
They did a nice little dog nose rub together.
I was, you don't go from KGB to,
I was happy about that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, well, good. As a dog lover.
Yeah.
I, too, am a dog lover. But,
when
I
her
agree
son
with JB.
relinquished the KGB and became a normal fucking dog.
That was a movie moment for fucking sure. Where they go back, but again, but the farm being decrepit and falling to pieces, that is something that we can all stand behind because, like so many of the societies, look at Venezuela, look at any, the Soviet Union, everything else. When you've got almost any society that has that kind of purist revolution mentality, it always collapses under the weight of weak character and human nature, like JB was talking about earlier. When you've got something that, especially when it's got a system like, China's been able to maintain because they've developed their economy well enough to do it. But most of these places,
capitalists.
It is exactly. It's pseudo-capitalist with an authoritarian.
It's not really communist, but
rulership.
it's not communist at all. It's completely totalitarian. It's a communist. It's a capitalist society, but I do whatever you do whatever I tell you to do. But other than that,
it's more
money.
Fascist.
Yeah, it's basically fascist.
It is. Yeah, exactly right.
It's totalitarian. That's the base. I think that's the best definition of China's
I hate to tell people.
Yeah.
But communism and capitalism lost long ago. Fascism won.
Yep.
It's like do whatever you want, make money, make phones. I don't care. But
government
when I
runs
tell
the business. You still got your private property, kind of.
And that's China.
Oh, you know what? I forgot. I wanted to say one more thing about Boxer when he got sent to the glue factory because I did love the beauty of that moment of him just immediately being sold down the river because I was like, this is exactly what happens when a useful idiot's usefulness runs out.
Exactly.
Sell him down the river, shoot him in the head. And Stalin did the same thing.
All the progressives that voted for Biden.
Hospital. A hospital you'll never come back from.
Stalin, any number of these organizations did it. Once they take over and get power, then they purge the people that they don't need anymore. The useful idiot is the first people to get rid of.
Nothing. Like Stalin starved the whole fucking country.
Yeah.
What he did to the Ukrainians is not even discussed well enough.
Yeah, but I think he also did he have like 100,000. He had like 100,000 personal people. I think that he was like, kill him, kill him,
just what he did to like the Ukrainian Soviet Socialist Republic. Just that alone is fucking a massive war crime and insane.
Oh well, of course.
But I think you guys made a lot of good points. But I think there's one that needs to be stressed. It's particularly for libertarians when they see this is that what you saw transpire and what actually transpired in the early 20th century in Russia didn't come out of a vacuum. Mm-hmm. You need to realize that the animals were in a bad situation to begin with. That's why I was saying Conspiracy Corner, other things is like, the revolution, civil war, we're not desperate enough. Yep. These animals were desperate. Like the Tsar, Farmer Jones, aka Tsar Nicholas, was a bad ruler, mismanaging the environment. They were starving. He wouldn't feed them. This, just like I told Rico, it's like the reason you won't see Governor Whitmer's head fucking roll in the courtyard is because the people of Michigan aren't starving.
Exactly.
That's the thing. Like they're not desperate enough.
Yet.
Totally.
These animals were desperate for a change.
Yep.
And a charismatic leader. Whoops. I'm fired up right now.
Fired up.
I apologize.
Your chest bumping your microphone.
A charismatic leader came by with the wrong ideas and swept up a nation. Mm-hmm. And this can happen at any fucking time. We need to be the people where it's like things are bad. Before it gets that bad, we need to be there to show the better way.
Yeah.
And just for some numbers of perspective, Stalin was responsible from estimated like 56 to 62 million unnatural deaths.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think a lot of starvation. I'm just talking about like his literal written dictates where he's just taking out political rivals, taking out people that are no longer useful to him, that kind of thing. Personally, not just en masse starvation. But no, to your point, JB, I've said that similar to what you were saying before too. Is we all have it way too good. Even the poorest people in America still have it way, way too good to give it all up to have a violent revolution. It's just not in the cards.
And right now, we're going to see hundreds of thousands of people evicted soon, and we're going to see people
maybe that will change. Money, right now, that's not the case.
Not enough money for food.
And another thing,
not right now. But
and another thing, and I think this is particularly important in the time, and even for us, should be very wary of demagogues. Mm-hmm. We should not build these fucking impenetrable figures who we lead to, no matter how good they are. Like everyone has flaws. Everyone is not the truth. Like, no one should be put on a place where old Major can say whatever they say is true. And that goes for anyone. That goes for Ron Paul. That it goes for Mises. That goes for Rothbard. I don't give a fuck. No one should ever be put on a pedestal like that.
Yeah.
We're all human.
I'm going to build a pedestal for Ron Paul that if you ever
You're not.
get up on this.
It's going to be JB's he's going to have a bunch of paper mache Ron Pauls that you can come in and hit off a pedestal with a bat.
No human should ever be put on a pedestal like that.
We're going to have a Liberty tree in the backyard. And
that's another thing I think I should add to that.
We're
all humans. Some of us have good ideas and we should listen to them, but we should never be lifted to the point of deity.
Yeah.
The cult of personality
that's essential to
for sure.
Totalitarianism, communism. And it all goes hand in hand. God, kings, divine right.
Well, it's never been easier, though.
Fucking ground.
It's never been easier to develop that kind of persona then. I mean, we're in the era of social media. I mean, especially for these big tech corporations that can censor people out to have people that they want as far as their messaging rise to the top so easily. It has become far easier. And it's to the right as well. I mean, look at those God kings that have been created online, fucking Dan Bongino, Mike Cernovich, these Ben Shapiro that have been elevated to this God status for the right. At the same time, you've got people on the left that have been elevated that don't deserve it.
I think that's a stretch.
Dude, it's easier now than ever because you can reach
There's
so many
been no
people.
apotheosis of Ben Shapiro.
Dude, I'm just saying. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? It's easier now than ever, though, to achieve that level.
I would hardly call Ben Shapiro a God king. I would call Joe Rogan a God king before I call fucking Ben Shapiro. Give me a break.
But my point being that these people have followings where it doesn't matter. They can say go, and you'll have 50,000 people go angrily tweet at somebody, or to the point where they'll send them fucking hate mail and go egg their house or harass them on the street. That is pretty fucking crazy, and it's easier now than ever.
And it's wrong.
Yeah, well, I'm not saying it's not unless I get that power.
Thinker.
In that case, it's fine.
Here, listen, I'm going to disassociate myself from this because if Jesus comes back at the end of 2020, I'm not going to be like, hey, no God king.
I'll tell him to go fuck himself.
About the literal divine.
I will tell him that I want no part of his shenanigans. Say, get out of here, you Jesus.
And I was
go sell your chocolate bars for your basketball team somewhere else.
I disavow.
You disavow it. So what do you guys give it? What do our pause up, pause down? I guess that's a stupid system, though. I hate it.
Wait. Is 2 pause bad?
I don't know. It's a dumb system.
2 pause bad, 4 pause.
4 pause. Yeah, it's all your. It's your pause. 4 pause. It's 4 pause up. Or, I don't know, something like that. I can't remember how.
4 pause.
4 pause from Howie. Wow. Great. Even with the bad animations on Jesse the dog's mouth. I know it was a different time, but God, this was terrible.
It was bad. Well, that was bad, but it was like 20 years ago.
Yeah, you got to
Man, put a carrot up her ass like they did with Mr. Ed. Just then just voice it over. Time it.
Is that what they did with it?
They put peanut butter in his mouth, but I heard also carrots in the ass help.
Oh. Yeah, because I heard the peanut butter in the mouth thing. I didn't hear that.
JB, what about you? What's your rating?
Well, I like this is a story that needs to be told for all time.
Yeah.
Because of all the things that we said, like everyone needs to read this and remember what happens, when you follow leaders who have these types of ideas and can manipulate people in these ways. So I have to give it 4 pause just for spreading something that I'm glad that people, our educators might have forced us to read this as children for the wrong reasons, but I definitely think it's worth everyone reading.
Yeah. I concur.
To me, I think it's insane that people don't view the hammer and sickle the same as the swastika.
Yeah, I agree. I fucking completely agree. I would say that the hammer and sickle probably killed way more people. So
it did
factually. Well,
honestly, the only reason that's true is because we never had a hot war with them.
Yeah.
Like I could.
That's
go
the
out
only
in
reason
a
that's
hammer
true.
And sickle T-shirt tomorrow, and nobody would bat an eye.
No, of course not.
If we had a hot war with the Soviet Union, there's no one who would dare fucking walk around with it with impunity like they do now. Not like it would be like the swastika.
Yeah.
Because it would represent something that people like millions of American soldiers died fighting.
Yep.
Because that's what it would take.
Well,
hopefully it doesn't
here's another
happen.
question. Do you think, Hollywood loves to remake movies. So this has now had a cartoon version, a 1999 version, which now is absolutely ripe. As far as the cycle of Hollywood remakes goes, 1999 is an eternity ago. Do you think this movie will be remade again? Because I will say I do not. I think they'll say that it won't go along with the fucking mentality. Even though JB was saying the educators probably believe that it speaks to their point of view, I think it will be viewed as too dangerous to go against what the leftists believe now to remake this film.
You may be right, but I think it should. I think they could do an awesome job.
Well, I agree with that, man. But I don't think it's going to happen. JB, what do you think?
I still think the vast majority of leftists don't think they're Napoleon. They think they're the female dog. I wish I could remember her name. Lassie.
Jessie.
Let's call her Lassie. Jessie. That's why I was like, it's not Lassie in my head for like the last 5 minutes because I wanted to say this. It was like, there's no fucking way it's Lassie. It's something else.
Well, it was Lassie
Jessie,
come home, and it was Jessie come. And then she just comes on the ground, and you're like, disgusting. Get outside.
Jesse's girl.
Yeah. What was I saying about? No, I was going to say about leftists. I imagine all these leftists who are playing this for their students or recommending this to their peers think they're Jesse. They don't think they're Napoleon. So I don't think it's going to make a difference.
You don't think they think they're Old Major?
They think they believe in Old Major, and this is why I say they're specifically Jesse. It's like, I believe in the ideas of Old Major as long as Napoleon is not around.
Right. It's like the people that still defend Venezuela, and they go, well, Venezuela would have succeeded if the United States was there. Or if Chavez wasn't in there, it would have been fine. And then because they can't believe that this is just something that's going to happen every time.
All these leftists believe they're Jesse.
Right. Yeah.
And that's what we need to. They don't think they're the bad person. They think they're Jesse.
Yep. Exactly.
They're like, no, we can do this, but you're fucking it up.
Mm-hmm.
That's their mentality.
Yep. I completely agree. Well, gentlemen, final thoughts of it. I mean, these pretty much were our final thoughts. But anything else to wrap up the episode? You want to add on to this review of Animal Farm as per the quest of our good buddy Tyler Colford, our supporter, our rap star of the Pride, Crypto Man. Check out #FreeRoss.
I have one thought. I guess it's more something I'm pondering. You know how there's people that made that like Jedi religion or whatever,
like Jediism.
I didn't know that was a thing, but I'm not surprised.
I've vaguely heard of that.
Do you think there's any people that like animalism is their philosophy? They're like, yes, animalism was right.
I'm sure
like
there
that
is.
And just go around on their hands and feet all the time.
I guarantee that yes, that's a thing. Just like it's a
like
thing. There's like a whole society of tree fuckers.
Animalism.
Well, then
Old
they don't wear
Nature's
clothes
right.
then either.
That
they're just walking around with no clothes on.
beaches. Those exist, hedonism
I'm just wondering if are there any animalists out there? If any of our listeners are animalists, let us know.
We're just going to get a bunch of fucking furries emailing us.
Yeah, send it to Brian at Lions of Liberty.
If you're going to send me your furry pictures, make sure that your boobs are out. Unzip them a little bit. I need a halfway to lure me into the true world of the furries. That's probably a good place to end it up. All right, gentlemen. Well, thank you both for watching Animal Farm, for taking part in this. And this is going to be my last podcast of December 2020. So fuck off, 2020. You were a shitty, horrible year, and I hate you. Let's hope 2021 is better.
You can't see him giving it both barrels.
Both fuck yous from JB. All right, from me, Brian McWilliams, from Howie Snowdon, the Godfather of Liberty, and JB Lubin, my man in Philadelphia, let's wish everybody a very happy new year. And peace out. What up, everybody? I know, a rare oddity to have a end of episode plug here, but I wanted to remind you guys that you still have, as of the airing of this episode, you have basically a day and a half to get in on our annual Patreon subscription. As you may have heard, we are offering 2 free months. If you sign up for the annual rate, which means you pay kind of lump sum for the year, we're going to give you 2 free months off. Get you that access to our live streams, to Conspiracy Corner episodes, to episodes coming out early, to all of our Degenerate Gambler shows, to the Legion of Liberty Doom, to Do Nothing Man episodes, and so much, much more. So hopefully we'll see you guys in the Lions of Liberty Pride. You can sign up at patreon.com/Lions of Liberty.